I grew up in a Reformed temple.
I basically grew up with secondhand knowledge.
I wasn't really religious before.
I was predominantly raised with an Israeli culture. However, I lacked a lot of Jewish education.
I really wanted to learn about my roots. In order to fully understand where you come from, you have to go back to basics.
Knowing a lot about the culture, I have that part of it, but the Jewish education I lacked. And I got more interested when I started growing up a little bit and deciding kind of how I want to live my life and my future.
I knew about certain holidays, maybe the stories behind them. I learned the alphabet, but I didn't really have the meaning behind them.
I belonged to the Reformed temple until all throughout high school. I lived in a town that I was like the token Jew. There was really not a big Jewish population, so my temple was the only place I got any Judaism, and overall it wasn't even that big.
I did think that women were not looked highly upon, and once I started learning, I definitely realized the opposite, that the Torah is very pro-women and women actually have it better than most men do.
We live in a community where there's not a lot of Jewish people, and so the importance of marrying someone Jewish is kind of out the window. As much as my mom will tell us, please marry someone Jewish, it's hard when we live in a community where there's not a lot of Jews. So I think that you only learn that the importance of marrying someone Jewish when you are educated about the positive experiences that can come from it.
I really hope, and I guess one of my really big goals is just to have a really amazing family, and that was one of the reasons where I started seeing some really just truly amazing families in my Judaism explorations, and that's kind of where it started pushing me in that direction. And I really just want to have an amazing, beautiful family that the love is just always there, and the perspective on life. I think that's one of my really big goals, is always keeping that a perspective on life.
One of my biggest dreams was to have a family, and so we could all sit around the Shabbos table and talk about Parsha and drink Kiddush, and you just spend that time together, because life is to spend time with your family and your friends. It brings happiness in people and makes you forget about the problems that you have in your life, at least for one day.
Whenever I come home, I definitely want to keep Shabbos. I know I have some place that I can go, and so that's good for me. And I guess my future is to find someone that is interested in that same future, and hopefully the cycle will continue.
My goals and hopes for the future is to continue representing Jewish people in a good light, to continue being a role model and using what I learned from all my classes and from just Torah in general to become a better person myself, and maybe get closer to God and have a better understanding of what exactly God is.
That was my goal, so to really help other people who maybe came from the same background that I did, and show them that you can learn more, and that then you can choose. But I want them to know kind of what I've been learning, the absolute truths, and then let them choose so they have a choice and weren't they don't do nothing in Judaism because they were never given the choice.
I really wanted to learn more about Shabbos, and definitely keeping kosher, because being a college student in our cafeteria, that can be quite a challenge.
I had a life outside of Judaism to begin with. At home, before I went to college, at college, Judaism was always kind of an activity I did, and so kind of figuring out a way to really integrate it, and how to learn how to say on Friday night, I'm going to Hillel, I'm going to Shabbat services, that kind of thing, and really see that as a priority and something that I really wanted to do.
Certain things on Shabbos, being a college kid, you want to check your email and you can't, and so I think it's been a good experience, learning what you can and cannot do, and learning ways to kind of get around that.
One of the hardest things that I've recognized about myself is that I have to decide which relationships in my life are healthy for me. The thing about Judaism is that I can't really love myself if I don't have others around me loving me as well and having positive relationships. So the hardest thing for me to grasp is that going back home after this trip is really figuring out what's best for myself and how I can improve my my relationships in the future.
A big part of it for me that it's taken I'm still working on is like not feeling insecure about not knowing everything, because I came from a temple where like, because I picked up the Hebrew like more quickly, like I was almost one of the people who the people came to because I knew how to say the prayers like more easily than other people. So like then going from a place where I really seeing people who knew so much more than me and learning how to be comfortable around that, learning how to ask questions and not be embarrassed, and how to realize that I'm growing and that it's okay, and being okay with that, like not being self-conscious about the fact that I don't know, because that can really prevent you from getting to know. So that's been a big one.
Dressing a certain way. I mean, I never, I guess, dressed in risque clothing, but I didn't wear super long skirts.
Now that I've been really starting the learning, is there's another challenge of kind of explaining it and explaining why it's important to people who like you've known your whole life and it wasn't important before and now it is, and so kind of explaining that to them. I'm definitely still working on that one.
Right before going up to the rope, I said that if I make it and if I touch the trapeze, then I will basically embody like everything that I learned, and I will use it to kind of like be a better person, and it will work for me, and I will like marry a Jewish guy. And I did touch it, so I guess that's gonna happen.
This week at Heritage, I really just wanted to kind of expand my learning, and I really was just, I did like a tutoring, like a one-on-one learning this past semester, and from there I really had some very amazing like aha moments, and from here I just wanted to keep expanding and find out where I needed to go and what else I didn't know, and how to ask questions, and really just kind of dive more into the learning and learning the stories and learning our commandments and how we interact with people and things like that.
I feel like after this experience, I have a very similar feeling about wanting to change my lifestyle in the same way that I had when I went to Israel when I did Birthright. But it wasn't until I did Birthright that I kind of realized I am special to be Jewish, and I should really take advantage of the opportunities that I have. What really gave me a new perspective is to live a life dedicated to Judaism that isn't so extreme or isn't so, looked down upon. It's something that I would be willing to work towards in the future. I've learned so much about myself over the week, so it's really inspiring.
That this has been a great experience. I've learned a lot, and I think that Judaism is a really rich culture and religion, and it's an honor to be able to learn more about it.
What I hoped to gain when I came to Heritage Retreat was to gain some knowledge about, of religion and how to like interact and how to build relationships, and it's what I hoped for.